So what made you get involved in the issue of childhood obesity?
I had this crazy epiphany at my kitchen table a few years back, and I realized now that my kids were teenagers that because we were sitting down to eat dinner together and we were cooking food from scratch, that I had actually raised healthy eaters, and it was such a huge accomplishment. And so Katie Couric had been working with Stephanie on this idea of doing a documentary about the childhood obesity epidemic, and I had met Katie once before. I did not know Stephanie at that point, and Katie emailed me and said, would you be interested in doing this project with us? And I literally responded to her in 3 seconds, because all these issues cross, all the environmental and food issues cross, and obviously what we're eating, how we're eating, and where we're eating has everything to do with this obesity epidemic that we're facing.
How big is the problem?
I think it's one of the greatest health epidemics of our time. You know, this is a global pandemic at this point, and it affects everyone, regardless of your weight. So not only is it a health crisis, but it also affects national security. It affects our global competitiveness. This is a problem that touches everyone in the world.
What are the main themes of the film?
What the film does is it looks at the principles that have guided us on what we eat, and what we reveal is that they've been fundamentally flawed and have really been misguiding us.
Our kids are drowning in junk. Drowning in it. Nobody can understand, you know, why don't diets work, and why are our kids getting sicker and getting fatter? And the reasons will surprise you.
We follow a group of 5 kids over the course of about 2 years, and they represent different socioeconomic and ethnic backgrounds in different parts of the countries. And you really get to see how the history of how our food system evolved, the politics of food, how those are playing out in these kids' lives. And they have flip cameras, so they're actually recording video diaries for 2 years, so it's incredibly intimate. Things that I don't know if you would get if you were, you know, standing there with a full crew. And these kids were so brave and really opened up in ways that I don't know if I would have opened up when I was 13. I mean, they really put themselves out there. And they did it because they want help and they want to help other people. So they're as aware of the problem, you know, as anyone else is, and are really desperate for solutions.
How can the film help parents, and how can it help kids who are dealing with these kind of issues?
You train their palates at a very early age. Even when you're pregnant, the taste buds are forming in the infant. So if you train them to like certain foods, they'll crave those foods. You know, it takes up to 10 tries for a child to like something. And I think, you know, we're juggling so much that we do these quick fixes, these quick band-aids, and I think it's time for a little bit of tough love, right? That we're not preparing separate meals for our kids, that what's put on the table is what you eat.
You know, I think one of the things that we're hoping for Fed Up is that this is going to be an intervention for the country. Not only do we have to change what we're eating and how we're eating, we have to really, as a society, come together and say, okay, it's time to save our kids. I mean, we are heading towards the financial aspect of this problem. I mean, the healthcare costs are going to bankrupt us.
In order for there to be change, you really need to get industry on your side. How can you do that?
I think the first thing that has to happen is the public has to demand it. You know, I mean, right now they're selling these products and we're helping them sell the products. But there's a lot they can do. They could, you know, look what happened with tobacco, right? They stopped advertising on TV. So why doesn't every junk food manufacturer say, okay, we're not going to advertise to kids younger than 8 anymore?
When you finished filming the film, did you feel optimistic about the future, or did you feel pessimistic?
I feel optimistic because the solutions are so easy, you know, and I feel like we're giving people a fighting chance by arming them with this information.
I'm optimistic if we get the information out there, and if we can help people connect the dots to what's happening, we can arm them with the power to change their lives and save their kids' lives.